It's being recorded. Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury. I'm going to be your host today on Arch Talk 101. And we have James on the line with us. We're going to learn about what he's got going on in his archery world. Welcome to the show, James.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
How about if you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little something about you?
Well, I go by Jim or James. You can call me either. Compliment. And on Facebook, it's the grumpiest archer. They wouldn't let me name myself Grumpy Jim, which is what I'm known by a few people in the archery community. Facebook said it was disrespectful, which I didn't quite understand, or offensive. But anyway, I've been shooting archery off and on for, gosh, since I was about 7 years old. I'm 66 now. And I had a hiatus while I was in the military. I served 21 years. And I didn't shoot during that time frame because I was always going someplace. And I retired and started shooting again. My wife shoots with me. She's not as fanatical about it as I am. I currently work in healthcare, and really enjoy that. I work in cardiology in a cardiology department. So it's very helpful. You get a lot of people in that you help out. You kind of encourage them to get out there and move and have hobbies and, to live. I always say movement is life. I used to hunt pretty, every year. It was primarily deer hunting. I had an accident in 22. I came out of a deer stand and broke my neck in three places. Had a fractured skull, did some damage to my shoulders, broke my collarbone, messed up my knees. So I was a mess, and I didn't think I'd ever be able to shoot again. I was unable to push my bow with my right arm, or actually my left arm. I couldn't push anything, but I can pull. So I switched now. I shoot left-handed. That's kind of my history there. I'm trying to make what I call the greatest comeback in the history of traditional archery. It's an ongoing thing, but I take one step forward, two steps back, but I still haven't given up yet.
Well, that's definitely a problem. And so, what did you do? You fall out of the stand, or what happened there?
Well, what happened? It had gotten dark, and I was up there. I just wanted to see if there was any activity after dark. I was in a climbing stand, and I disconnected my safety harness. Instead of having the rope that I could go down and stay connected, I just simply disconnected. The stand lost contact with the tree. It was a hand climber, and when it lost contact, the stand went, and I went with it. I landed on my side, and I guess it was enough. It just fractured the C1, 2, and 3, going up into my skull. And I spent a good year basically in bed where I wasn't doing anything. I was just trying to recover. When I decided to try and shoot the bow again, I had my grandson's bow, 16 pounds, and I couldn't even pull that back. It was pretty bad. I was very, very weak. So I'd gone from shooting 60-pound bows to the point where I couldn't even draw a 16-pound bow. And I kind of think archery really brought me back from the brink, because I just was so dedicated to it and dedicated to shooting again that I just have kept after it. And switching left hand to left hand was very, very uncomfortable. It's been about a year and a half now. And I'm finally getting to the point where when I go up to an archery stake, I don't stand in a right-hand posture. I stand as a left-handed shooter, where a lot of times I catch myself going up there and I'd be confused which hand I shoot with. So it's becoming more habit, becoming a habit where I don't have to think as much, which
Yeah,
is good
that's
for me.
yeah, that's what you end up doing in archery is it becomes a habit, and then you just automatically do it, don't think about it. But yeah, switching from right-handed to left-handed, that could be a challenge.
It was, and I had a friend that switched to left hand. He had target panic, and he thought, well, maybe that'd cure it, and it did. And he was a pretty good archer, and I saw, how far he had come by switching left handed, and I thought, well, let me give it a try, and so far it's worked. I stand kind of funny when I address the target because I can't move my head real well. I can maybe turn it 45 degrees, if that much. And so I can't, when I address the target, it's a little bit funny. So I've had to compensate. I can't use back tension. Guy named Tom Plum had told me, he says, man, I don't know how to try and coach you with shooting because everything is kind of, uh, you know, I don't know what the word is. It's unconventional, I guess, the way I shoot. So yeah, it's a little funny, but I get the job done. I'm nowhere near where I want to be, but it's getting there. It's a work in progress.
Well, and that's the thing, when you have somebody that has a physical challenge of some kind or other, you have to learn how to modify the techniques, and as a coach, I kind of look for those things because some of it's just got us like, okay, there's no challenge in that. So, I like to work with people like that sometimes that are having some issues. I had one guy when I had my store, I had MS, so he could not bend that arm because if he bent it, it just shook so much he couldn't hold it. So we had to
Hmm.
learn how to shoot a compound bow with the arm locked out because the only way he could hold it steady was to lock it. And,
Yeah,
you got to worry about hitting your arm and all kinds of other stuff when you lock that arm out like that, and we just worked through it, and got him shooting, and that's just kind of some of the things that you've got to look at, and over the years you learn how to compensate for some of those things when you're teaching.
yeah. I mean, if you love the sport, which I don't know, sometimes I think I'm obsessed, but I really enjoy archery. I try to, a lot of people say they don't practice, but I practice. I work pretty hard at it. I can't say that, sometimes I get out there and just fling arrows. I don't think, which to me, that's just me ingraining bad habits when I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about what I'm trying to accomplish. But for the most part, I get out there and I really work hard at trying to improve myself. Um, Tennessee Classic this year, I was so happy I didn't miss any targets. You know, uh, so I'm trying to get back to where I was, and I think I'll know that I've come back if I can shoot around with no zeros and no fives. Uh, that's when I know I've made a good comeback. So
Yeah, and that's challenging for archers that are don't have any physical challenges, and
yeah,
you know when I was doing a lot of 3Ds, my goal was to average an 8.
yeah,
I need to average an 8 because average 8 means you got a kill shot on every one. And
right,
so if you shoot a 5, that means you got to shoot uh, 3 10s for
yeah,
every
yeah,
5 you shoot. And
right.
that's a challenge even for somebody that's just not having issues with other things, other than the fact that when I was doing that, I didn't really know how to shoot correctly because before I learned how to shoot, you know, with back tension and stuff like that. And
Yeah, I'm kind of self-taught. I read a lot, and especially when I started shooting again, I read all the new books and uh, got myself so confused I couldn't even hit the target. But I just got to the point where I watch. I've got some really good friends that have been shooting for a lot of years, and I watch what they do and kind of try to pick up their good habits. And I'm doing okay.
yeah, I've found that, you can go out on the internet and you can find hundreds of different ways of doing stuff. And most of them are probably not the best way to do it anyway. Um, I see a lot of videos where I know they're going to punch the trigger as soon as they draw back on a compound bow. I know they're going to punch the trigger. Just I can tell by looking at the finger. And sure enough, they punch that trigger and that hand flies off to the side or wherever. And yeah, um, and too with traditional, I can kind of almost tell as soon as they do it how they're going to end up. And sure enough, they shoot, hand comes flying away from their face in front of them, and you know, once in a while, someone will go back, and that's the part that takes a lot of um, analyzing your own shots. Sometimes you can video yourself and then see what you're doing, but if you don't know what's wrong, why you're doing something, that's when you need a coach to help you out with that. And
Yeah, and at a 3D shoot, I'm always reluctant to ask someone to watch and see if they can pick out what I'm doing because, they're concentrating on their game. And I have a friend of mine in Corydon, Indiana. He's got a little course he set up at his house. It's called Bob's World. So I got 25 target course, and we'll go out there, and then I'll have him critique me and analyze me uh, during that time frame. But when I'm out on a course, I let people go about their business and
right,
not really pay attention to what I'm doing. But I'm not real competitive now. I like to compete, but I don't beat myself up if I don't do well.
right,
Where before if I'd miss a target or get a five, I'd be all down on myself. Now it's just, it's the price of doing business, I guess.
right.
You're going to have them.
And one of the things that we offer in the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group is upload a video. Take it on your phone or have somebody take a video of you shooting, upload it to the group, and we'll take a look at it and give you pointers. That's just one of the things that we offer in the group for free. And now, if you want ongoing lessons, that's a different story. But hey, take a video of you shooting, have somebody video of you shooting, and then upload it to the group, and we'll take a look at it. And if need be, I can always download it to my computer and look at it frame by frame in my video editing software. So
Right.
you can kind of see things there. So that's something we offer in a group, and go ahead, take advantage of it. Upload those videos and
Yeah.
let's critique your forms. And it can be recurve, it could be longbow, it could be crossbow, it could be uh, anything as long as we're talking archery. Um,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, that's the new beast I'm after right now is longbow. I shot a longbow when I was a kid, and then it was always recurve when I started shooting again. And this year I had started shooting a self bow that I bought used, and I was bound and determined I was going to shoot the self bow this year. Well, it broke. I never got another self bow. So I did pick up a longbow because I had all these wood arrows. I thought, well, let me try that. And it's been an ongoing thing. It's been a real challenge for me. I shoot the recurve so much better, but I'm bound and determined. I've got that investment made in the longbow. I'm going to learn to shoot it. So
Yeah, some of those longbows and recurves aren't cheap.
no, they're not. They're not. They get a
Yeah,
little salty.
yeah, it can be several $100s for, just a traditional bow. And compounds, of course, they're up into, some of them $1,000 to $2,000 for some of the compounds.
Right.
I'm cheap.
Right.
I'm still hunting with my 2001 PSE. And then my target
Yeah.
bow is a 2003 PSE.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I figured, well, with this, I went ahead and with the longbow, I always admired a certain model. So I went ahead and got it. I spent a few $100s on it, but I thought, what the heck? I'll buy one more new bow before I drop dead. I plan to use it until I can't shoot anymore. So it's part of the family, the bow family, and I'm gonna see what happens with it. But I'm gonna make sure I can shoot it. I got some good people helping me out as far as that goes and giving me some advice. So yeah, I'm lucky in that sense.
Yeah, that's if you can get somebody that knows how to shoot them well, because how you shoot a longbow and recurve is slightly different, and how they load up is different.
Yeah.
So you're going to feel a little difference in them, and sometimes you can use the exact same techniques, sometimes you can't.
Right. Right. But yeah, I'm learning the difference, and shooting wood arrows is such a heavy arrow. Sometimes I lose sight of the target, and when I'm at 20 yards, 25 yards, I can't even see the target. I'm sitting there holding so high that I lose it. So I'm lined up. I hope I'm lined up. So I let that arrow fly and arch in there, and 9 out of 10 times I'll hit the target, but there's always that 10th time that that I'm chasing arrows.
Yeah, that's the disadvantage of traditional bow and heavy arrows is you got to aim quite a bit higher and
Yeah,
lose
yeah.
your target, like you say.
My buddy shoots a self bow. Man, he's aiming at the sky half the time.
Yeah,
It's such a noticeable difference. He's holding so high, but it's traveling so much slower. The arrow is versus the longbow. It's a big difference.
well, that was one of the advantage of going from the longbow to the recurve is you get a little more power out of it, the same draw weight, a little bit more power from it because of the design of the limbs.
Yeah, I've gone down in my weight. I was shooting 55 to 60 pounds, and I can still shoot it. I've built myself up to it, but man, it hurts. Hunting wise, I'd be okay to hunt with it. I don't need that much bow. People say, "Oh, you're overbowed." So I've dropped down. With the long bow I've got now, it's 44 pounds at 28 inches, and my recurve I'm shooting now. I went ahead and had a riser made, and then I had some limbs made when I was coming back to shoot. So with my recurve, I'm only shooting 34 pounds, but it sings the arrows pretty good. I'm just used to having that impact. I always liked shooting a heavy bow, just
Yeah.
enjoyed it. But yeah, it's fun though. It's always a challenge. I figure if I could live to be a million years old, I'd still never master it. It's
Yeah.
something that you just never master.
Yeah, and that's, the fun is there's always you can always get better whatever you're doing, you know.
Yeah,
Now, if you shoot every shot, you get Robin Hoods on every shot, well, then maybe you've kind of reached your limits. But
got to
then,
back up further.
yeah, I was just going to say that back up further, and then those Robin Hoods go away.
Yeah,
So back up further, and that's just when I was doing a lot of shooting in the compound, I'd shoot at 20 yards, and that's back when before they had uh, carbon arrows, they're all just aluminum. So I was shooting 25-12s, and I use a bullet point in there, to get a Robin Hood on that is really difficult because
yeah,
I've destroyed a lot of knocks where you hit the knock and it bounces off the side, destroys the insert, and stuff like that. But I'd shoot at 20 yards, so go back to 30 and go back to 40. The groups are staying about the same size, and then I go back up to 20 again, and I'm just destroying arrows. I'm not Robin Hood them because the point design is it's got to be a
right.
perfect dead on shot or it won't do it, which I've done a few times, but um, that's move back further. It's a little more challenge. Move back further, a little more challenge, and until you can
Yeah.
get back to, if you can get out there and consistently group, 3-inch groups at 100 yards.
Oh my goodness, that's a dream. I can't even see 100 yards.
Oh, I can't either.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm supposed to wear glasses, and I do when I drive. But when I go out on a range, I can't wear glasses. I found some where my bow doesn't interfere, the string doesn't interfere with the glass, but then it fogs up so bad.
Yeah,
So I just go out without glasses now. I mean, I know where to shoot. I know where the kill is. I'm not as precise as some of the guys, but I've been shooting phone targets long enough. I know where the kill zone is,
yeah,
and I don't figure I need the glasses. It's not so blurry that I can't see, but
yeah. Unfortunately, now I don't have mine on now because at this is my glasses are everything would be blurry. I've got some reading
yeah,
glasses, computer glass. They're set up for the distance for a computer. Um,
right,
when I'm on hunting, I can't see my pins well enough with the right eye because it's got a little cataract on it and some other problems with it. But I'm right-handed and right eye dominant, but yet my right eye is blurrier than my left eye. So, and I see two sets
Yeah,
of pins. And for many years, I used to shoot both eyes open, but the right eye was the clear eye, the left eye was the dim eye. Well, then now with the cataract forming on there, and it's getting older because I'm 70, so things like that happen. Now that I shot at a deer one time and hit it in the artery in the back hip, and I know that pin was right where it's supposed to be. I could see it just
yeah,
clear as could be. And so I went down to the range, and I'm practicing. I always close my left eye, so I closed my left eye. I nailed the target. I shoot in a five spot. I shoot at the right um, upper right hand spot. Open
hmm
up both eyes. I missed the paper to the left
yeah,
because now my bright pins, which my mind automatically recognizes, ignores the dim set of pins. It ignored the right eye, picked up the left eye pins, which puts you off by that much.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it
I've never
just
really shot a compound bow. When I was in school, when I got out of the army, I went ahead and went to school, and I was working part time at a shop, and I'd work on compound bows, but I never really shot them. I'd set them up, I'd shoot it enough to set up the bow, and I've always just shot traditional, and nothing against compounds. It's just I worried about being out in the woods and something breaking on me, and there goes your hunting trip. But so I've always just stuck with the traditional end of things. I figure I can fix that. I can put a new string on that, but
yeah,
uh, it
compound. You're not
was
putting your string
challenging
on.
working on compounds. I thought, man, it's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, your traditional equipment can still break, but mostly it's the string, unless you dry fire it. Then you
Yeah,
lose everything else. But there's less parts to fail. And a compound, like you said, there's 2 to 3 strings on it. Any one of them can fail. You've got
yeah,
cams and wheels and everything else on there that can cause problems. Letting
right.
down on a compound, if you got a death grip on that bow, you've actually torqued the bow to the side. So lots of times
hmm
people let down, and next thing you know, you derail your string because you've
Right.
turned that angle off there. And I've seen bows, come off as they're letting down, it just snaps off, and um, there's all kinds of problems, but you know what? I still hunt with a compound. Um, I did have a compound fail one time. It was a catastrophic failure because the riser broke in half.
Mm.
It was one of those poured magnesium risers, and it had a defect in it. And it just the day I was shooting a couple weeks for hunting season, I could not get the pins sighted it because I was making sure in and they were off, and every time I shot, it was off. And so finally, I moved up, 5 yards from the backstop. I just want to see what it was doing. And I shot, and I'm holding the bottom half of the bow. The top half of the bow comes back and smacks me in the chest.
Oh
And,
man.
then 2 weeks for hunting season. And so now I'm getting a bow, getting it set up. And that's when I got my first PSE. And, I got it set up and was able to go out. But man, it's scrambling around trying to find a bow that fit me. And
Yeah, it's not easy. Yeah, I've had one bow in since I've been shooting that I shot perfect, phenomenal bow, and doggone the shelf cracked going down the length of the bow. The shelf cracked, and they tried to fill it, put epoxy in it, and save it. But that thing, man, I couldn't miss with that bow. Aggravating. But yeah,
yeah,
to find something that fits you like that, that's a impossible. That's a challenge. It really is.
right.
Something
Because
that you
there's
can
so
shoot
many
that good.
variations in bows, and I always tell new archers coming and looking for bow, that's their first bow. Is says pick it up, and put it in your hand. If you don't like how
Yeah,
it feels, put it back.
yeah,
Eventually, you're going to
yeah,
find one that you like how it feels in your hand, and then if you get a couple of them, then shoot them. Shoot them, see
yeah.
what you think. And sometimes what you've got to do is, I had this one time. We had like 3 or 4 bows in the range, and we're trying. He can't decide which one he wants. And I said, okay, you're going to shoot complete with your eyes closed. You're not going to know anything. I'll hand a bow to you. I'll get the arrow knocked. We'll get you hooked up, and you're going to shoot eyes closed the whole time. Do the next one. And it's like, okay, which one you like better and why? I didn't care why. I wanted them to express why they liked this one better. So okay,
Yeah.
so he set
Yeah.
that one aside, and to do two more, and then that was aside. Then he finally take his two that he liked the best. Now then you're shooting against each one of there with their eyes closed, and that's the bow. That's your bow. You
Yeah.
just picked your bow. Because a lot of times you can't decide, especially your eyes open, because you look at it, it's like, oh, I like the way this one looks.
Hmm.
Or I like this because of the name brand. The
Right.
advertisers will say this is the best. It's not the best. It might be, it might not be. And it's nowadays you take your PSEs, your Matthews, your Martins, your elites, your diamonds, and I'm drawing a blank at some of the elements, but anyway, they all make good quality bows.
Yeah.
And when you get into traditional side of them, Hoyt is as well. When you get into traditional side, they all make quality bows. It's just some might have other features you like, or maybe you got the Olympic style limbs on them, and they're the right doesn't matter because you're buying limbs and risers separate anyway. So as far as which one's better, they're all better,
Yeah. Well, it's all relative. I mean,
right?
it's what it's a feel. I'm still with this. I picked up my longbow. Gosh, I think it was middle of May. Yeah, middle part of May, and I'm still learning it. And I'll shoot at least a half hour a day. Um, and I'm still learning the bow. I'm still learning the wood arrows, and shoot, it'd probably take me another year until I'm really comfortable with the bow. I was planning on trying to hunt this year, but I've got to have my knee replaced, and it's scheduled for October. So the way my knee is right now, I don't think I could recover a deer. But I'm anxious to get back out there and hunt. So hopefully nothing else breaks or goes bad for a while.
Yeah. Well, and I've had struggles like that too. Last year in April, I had a triple bypass. And
Mm,
that took me out for 12 weeks. But then 2 months later, the bone hadn't healed, so I went back in, put titanium plates in, and then this okay. Now you got your 12 weeks healing time, going through the rehab and everything, and I still wasn't ready to go back to do much. I roller skate every week. I used to compete in roller skating and speed skating and other things,
mhm.
but so I was going in and trying to figure in the rehab I'd keep pushing it and they'd say stop it. I wanted to see what it felt like when I was having trouble, so I knew when I had something because I was always if you don't push it ever. No, I didn't push it every week, but once in a while I'd like, okay, I'm going to push a little bit this week, and then we'd look at the results and say, okay, this is what, and that I knew what it felt like. So just about recovered April 2nd of this year. I'm out the skating rink, and being a speed skater, I like to go fast, pretty much go fast, turn left, repeat, else go home.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and and I was doing really good, no problems with the heart. It was handling the high heart rate that I would put it through, and speed
Hmm.
skater. It's nothing for us to get us up into 150s, 160s, 170s, and I still when I was doing that, I was getting my heart rate in the 150s, 160s, and that's
Hmm.
max for my age is the 150
Yeah.
because I'm 70 and I get it in the 150s and didn't have any problem. Well, then in the third, I got hit from behind in my car so hard it carried the
Mm.
bumper down into the tire, locked it up, spun me around. I was doing 29 mile an hour, just started my turn. Now I'm going 40 mile an hour backwards. And now that took
Dude.
all that out again. I've been having lots of trouble with, with the whiplash from that. And,
Sure.
so now I'm starting to build back some strength out in the garden, pulling grass out of the garden. That's my workout so I can, get a little stronger so I can shoot my bow again. You know,
Yeah.
I was like you.
Well,
It's like,
a lot of times, again, I work in cardiology and I see a lot of patients that have had open heart, and some of them take an attitude that's a death sentence, and it's not. It's an opportunity. It gives you the opportunity to get out there. And I mean, if I'd have listened to what the naysayers said, I'd have never picked up a bow again, after breaking my neck like I did. And like you had triple bypass. It's just a new opportunity for you. Had they not fixed it, it may have been a different story. But
Right.
it's with the rehab and the work they do. I mean, it's longevity, and again, the movement is life. You got to keep moving, and you learned that. You learned what that red pillow's for too, didn't
Yes.
you?
Yeah. Yeah.
People.
The red pillow. I, I still have my red pillow.
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to. Boy, you hug that thing if you sneezed or you coughed
Oh,
or anything. That pillow, it was a lifesaver for a lot of folks.
oh yeah. Well, and for those that don't know, when they split your chest open, and now it won't take any coughing or sneezing because it puts stress on it. Because try coughing and not have your chest move. So what we do is we'd put it like this, and we'd hug it as hard as we can when we had to cough or sneeze to keep that chest from moving. Well, then I wasn't needing it before the accident, and after the accident, it's like okay. I didn't use the pillow, but I found this I can just wrap my arms around my chest and put my head down, and then I can get by with it without carrying a pillow around. But I carried that around in a pillowcase for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's a relief, pain relief for folks. And I used to not understand why they carried it until I got into cardiology. I'd worked up on the floor for a lot of years, taking care of patients, and I'd see the heart patients. I'd work in ICU and whatnot. And, I mean, I knew what they used the pillow for, but I never knew until you're dealing with them the amount of relief it gave them when they cough or sneeze or yeah, it just I mean that's pretty brutal what they do to your chest.
Oh yeah,
Uh, it's a brutal surgery, but it's a lifesaver.
yeah,
I'm
and
glad it worked out for you. I'm sorry
yeah,
you had that accident and
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
regress a little bit, but still, you'll come back from it. You'll be out there shooting before you know it.
yeah. And that's in April, and this is almost the end of July. And I'm still having some problems with it. So, um, they got those different bands that you can exercise with, and therefore I
Mhm.
couldn't even do the lightest one. And even this here, for some reason my camera's all blurry, but the water bottles, I couldn't even lift that. That was too heavy. Full of water was too heavy.
And that's something.
Yeah,
Gosh, yeah, that's craziness. But yeah, it's amazing though what we can come back from. Body's
yeah,
pretty amazing.
yeah. It's weird. I don't know what my camera's doing. I have to turn it off and turn it back on. And yeah, there you go. Hey, it got blurry
Yeah,
somehow, and I don't. That's why I
yeah,
don't use I didn't use the laptop camera when I was doing it on the laptop. Now I got a desktop, so I have to have a separate camera. But like one of them Logitech
right.
920s, and it's got good quality picture in it. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, you do a lot of coaching still.
not a lot right now. I
Hmm.
was there for a while, but I've been a archery instructor since '95, so I've coached a lot of people, and I'll
Yeah.
help them here and there. I was looking at putting together an online coaching program. And so I had this one guy messaging him on Messenger or something. I forget exactly which platform it was, but he said he didn't have any coach near him.
Uh-huh.
He had no coaches around. So I said, well, I'm thinking about putting together an online coaching program to see how it works. So let me coach you for free. Let's just
Hmm.
so I'm going through and he'll send me a video and then I critique it and send him back messages and then hit back and forth several times. And he was getting better, and we worked through some of the problems he was having, and he got better, and you'd never guess where he lived.
Right by you.
No, Italy.
Oh, Italy. No kidding.
Yeah. And then I
Huh.
had another guy that I actually did a little bit closer because I did on a Zoom call like this, and he was in Canada. And we spent about
Uh-huh.
45 minutes on a Zoom call, and he was grouping at that time probably three, four, 5 inch groups. I forget exactly how big the groups was, but they weren't really close. 2 weeks later, he sent me a picture, 3 arrows touching.
No kidding.
That's with a
Wow.
45-minute Zoom call. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, now this works pretty good. So it's kind of viable to do that. And I created some videos for it and I posted them on my YouTube channel, which is Learn to Fix It Yourself. I got all kinds of videos out there. Last time I looked, like 2,300 videos of all kinds of stuff, not just archery
Wow.
stuff, but all kinds of stuff out there. So, if you're interested in anything like that, get a hold of me. We can work
Okay.
something out.
Yeah.
And and go through and get on Zoom calls, and it's really nice doing that. And one of these days, I'd like to get somebody on a podcast that it's just new, and let's teach them on the podcast.
Yeah,
Go through
that'd be
what we go
interesting.
through, and
Yeah.
we're putting it on the podcast, and hey, that's going to be we'll do that for free. So if you know anybody that wants to be coached on a Zoom call, um, hey, I get content with it, and it's fun, and we can see how it works and see how much we can improve
Sure.
just in a 45 minute or an hour time, and go through that and learn. Because I call the podcast Arch Talk 101, as well as my Facebook group's the same name. And
Hmm.
and then I've got archtalk101.com that I'm setting up, that'll have a whole bunch of other stuff out there, and products that I recommend, and especially affiliate links. And I've already got it set up now where you can actually get to it now, where you can get to the podcasts, the video
Hmm.
part of the podcast. So you can watch those, watch all the back ones and stuff like that. That's on that as well.
Yeah.
And I'm just setting it up. So I just started it like earlier this week. I think, yeah, last weekend's when I started setting it up. We had a
Uh-huh.
domain for a while, and I was doing stuff with it, and then I switched servers, and you know that whole website was gone, or that
Yeah.
that yeah. So I'm starting a new one and reorganizing it completely, so it looks completely different, and so
You
that's
got
something.
your hands in a lot of pots.
Yeah,
But
and then there's
yeah,
other pots I got them into, but
yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, I don't know. I still work full time. I'm having trouble fitting everything in. You try to balance your life, and it seems like work is taking more and more time. My days just seem to get longer. What I've been doing now, um, I don't sleep as good as I used to. I'll wake up 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Um, and I'll go outside. I got a bag hanging up. I'll go outside 2, 3 in the morning and shoot the bag. Just that bare bail training, just to get the repetitions in. And
yeah,
if I don't get to shoot in the afternoon, at least I got some repetitions in and uh, something to do. But yeah, I mean, there's just not enough time in the day to get everything I want to do done. I try to exercise, and I don't do real good with that. I'm trying to lose weight. Uh, yeah, the orthopedic surgeon said, well, it'll help you with your recovery if you've got that weight off from that knee replacement. So trying to drop weight with that. Just again, the day is just not a lot of time in the day to do everything I want to do.
yeah.
But,
And I'm working full time, but with this accident in the heart, I haven't worked that much, and I seem
uh-huh.
to miss a lot more. And yeah, until then, I was like, had to be forced to go on vacation, take a day off. It's like, well, use it or lose it. Well, I guess I'm going to use it.
Yeah, yeah,
You work and then don't take a vacation for 2 years, and then you take a vacation and 2 more years, and you got to take it again. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But
and recovering from the heart surgery, I was finally getting in, my 40 to 50 hour weeks, and then the accident, and that's now down to, lucky if I get, I'm starting to get more, but 36 hours is a big week for me.
yeah, yeah. I used to enjoy that though. I used to work 12-hour shifts at night, and I could string together where I'd be off 8, 9 days, and then have to go back in and work three night shifts. I never took vacation, didn't need to. I always had
Right.
vacation time. Now, um, course, your holidays come up. You got to take vacation for the holidays. That working 5 days a week is kind of rough. I still
Yeah,
haven't gotten used to it, but um, you have to take a day off now and again to take care of business. During the week, stuff that you can't do on the weekend. So yeah, I miss the 36-hour work week. I really do. Three
yeah,
12s. It was great.
yeah. And when you get doctor's appointments now, I get on RH and with all the problems I had
Yeah.
last year, I got doctor's appointments and sometimes like yeah, it's kind of nice not working on Fridays, but kind of hurts the paycheck right now.
Oh yeah. 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 People ask me all the time, why are you working? Well, I like working. I like my job, and I like having money.
Yeah.
That's always important.
Well, and what are you gonna
Retirement's no
do?
fun if you got no money.
Yeah. Well, and what are you gonna do? Just sit around on your porch all day long?
Unfortunately, a lot of people do, and then they drop dead.
Yeah.
They don't have a hobby. They don't have something to keep them occupied and busy. And man, you've heard those stories about, well, Joe retired last week and he dropped dead. It happens far too often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know one place I was working, they had a list of, people that died and stuff and retired and it's like you said, within a week he died. He worked
Yeah.
all his life and then died. And I seen a report a long time ago that said if you retire and basically just go sit on your porch, um, 3 to 5 years, you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it. I've seen it too often. Or again, someone has a major surgery and they think that's the end of their life. And so far from the truth.
Right. It's
So
but
much
you
we
can
can
we can
do.
recover from it. We just got to do something, and that's nice about archery is because it gives us something to look forward to. Maybe with the archery,
Right.
and I haven't even picked up my bow for a year and a half. And
Yeah.
one of those problems that I was noticing, I couldn't figure out what was going on before the heart surgery was when I'm out skating. It's like I had no energy. I'd been trying to push it, had no energy, and now I'm
Hmm.
skating, beginner speed. And
Yeah.
then, I started at work because we moved to the fourth floor. So I started taking the steps and it started getting harder and harder to take the steps. And then finally I called over the VA and after about the third time going to ER because I had troubles, and they finally did the test. And then I was like, oh, you got one artery completely blocked, one another 90% blocked, no one 70% blocked. And you know, I was
Yeah,
watching
you're
I
lucky
wanted
you
to watch what I was
still.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're lucky
Yeah.
it's still pumping.
Well, and the one that was 70% blocked had built what they called collaterals, was supplying blood
Hmm.
for the one that was blocked. And they said that
Yeah.
generally, the secretary said generally about 6 months for it to do that. So it had been blocked for a good 6 months. And then, now I haven't pushed it too much yet as far as that, but I'm getting out skating now and I'm back to where I'm starting to get a little bit of speed, but I can tell, a little stress on my heart when I'm doing it, especially if I take potato beta blocker because they won't let your heart rate go up. I really
Right.
struggle when I take one of those, so I just don't take those.
Okay.
Oh, they control your blood
Yeah.
pressure a little better, but yeah, when you're a speed skater, you can't have anything that's going to keep your heart rate from going up. And
Right.
with this last week, I think it was, or the week before, yeah, I had my heart rate up in the 150s.
Hmm.
I have a little watch. I don't have it on right now because it's charging. That'll tell you, monitor it, so it'll tell me what the max was. And there's actually a button that I can push on it to say I'm roller skating. It doesn't work right, but it will keep track of my heart rate, and I can
Uh-huh.
look at my to see what my heart rate's doing. Especially when I was still recovering, I wanted to see what it was doing. See where I'm
Yeah.
at and how I'm feeling, and I'm using that to monitor. Am I going too fast? Am I pushing too hard or whatnot? And you know, the last time I looked, it was got a little over 150 something, and so
Hmm.
I pushed it up to my max heart rate and a little bit above, and
Yeah.
and taking those pills, I can't do it.
Right, right.
And they
Yeah,
don't
I
work
mean,
anyway. So
yeah, those watches are pretty amazing. Some of them, I mean, they tell a patient when they're in AFib, uh, atrial fibrillation. They tell them what their blood pressure is. I mean, they're pretty elaborate. I've got
yeah.
one my wife got me to keep track of my steps, and I just find that it doesn't display a second hand, so I don't wear it too much because if I've got to take a patient's pulse, I need my second hand, you know.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, but it's handy. I'll wear it on the weekends and get an idea how much walking I'm doing, and I still try to get that magic number of 10,000 steps, which normally I get about 15. Get about 15,000 in on a typical weekend day. And I don't know what I do during the week, but I'm sure I'd get some mileage in.
Yeah, and I'm not up to walking that far just yet.
No, but you're
Yeah.
building to it.
I'm getting there. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's quite a challenge in, between my skating and trying to get back to archery because I prefer, if I'm going deer hunting, my weapon of choice is grab my compound bow and go.
right.
But right now I can't shoot it, and I don't know if I'll be ready for this season. And shooting my rifle, yeah, that's not an option right now. I
Yeah,
don't want to try and do that. Um,
right,
I shoot a
right.
knot six, and they have a little bit of a kick.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned about with archery, the one guy that didn't have a coach anywhere near him. Shoot, for me to go to a club shoot, I end up driving 2.5 hours one way to go to this club I belong to, and it's always enjoyable. Getting ready to go up to Michigan, there's a shoot up there, if you don't mind me mentioning.
No, go
It's
ahead.
called Elm Hall. Probably one of the best kept rendezvous secrets there is. Right now, everyone's at ETAR, the Eastern Traditional Archery Rendezvous. It's in
Right.
Pennsylvania, I think. And but I think there's nothing that compares to Elm Hall. It's maybe they'll maybe have 200-300 shooters, but boy, they feed you. Friday night we're going to have venison brats, and then Saturday they feed you again. They have anything from wild game, fish, wild turkey, venison. But that's in Elm Hall, Michigan. It's going to be the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of August. Boy, I tell you what, if anyone's in the area, go to it. You meet some really great people. It's a fun shoot. It's not competitive. You're just out there shooting, and a lot of camaraderie and fellowship. It's really going to be a good shoot. But yeah, that club I belong to is Whiskey City. You had David on, David Snyder. He
Yeah.
was on your podcast. Yeah. So that's the one I belong to in Indiana. It's a good club.
Okay. Yeah. What have you go ahead and send me the links to them, and I'll put them in the description, so it'll make it easy
Okay.
for everybody to find it. And in that way, if you're interested, hey, it'd be someplace to go. You'll easy to find the link because I'll have it in the description, and also we can do a post in the group, let everybody know where it's at,
Yeah,
and
I'll do that.
you know,
It's funny because, yeah, I shot a lot of years and never went to any kind of organized event, no 3D shoots. And boy, I tell you what, you meet so many good people. It's unbelievable, and most of my friends now and associates are through the archery community. Um, so if you're new to shooting, I'd encourage you to look up and see if there's a 3D shoot in your area, or if there's a rendezvous you can go to. I mean, it's free primitive camping, and you meet so many good people, and you'll learn so much. It's unbelievable. But so for a new shooter, I'd encourage you to go to an event. It's really worth it.
well, and you meet a lot of people, and a lot of them are going to help you out with if you're having a problem, say, hey, I'm having this problem. What do you think I can do? And then a lot of them will say, well, hey, let's go to the target and let's shoot and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's how I started out teaching was I'm going to watch you to shoot live because I had no other option. If
Right.
you wanted to record anything, you're on a VCR. That was the only
Right.
option I had when back in 95. It's like everything was done on VCRs. There was no smartphones that you could
Right.
record stuff on. And if it was so grainy, you could figure it out anyway. And
Yeah.
then, you're then to play it back and then you can't stop it. I did have one video VCR player that I could go frame advance on. But
Hmm.
other than that, most of them, you couldn't do that. Now with the
Right.
phones, you, you know, you're able to watch it over and over, but you're not
Hmm.
able to go frame in a time. But then, like my video editor, I don't use for the podcast. I use it for my YouTube videos. I can
Hmm.
actually monitor, or not monitor, but watch the video, and I can stop it, and I can reverse it frame at a time, back and forth, and see what's going on. And that makes it nice now because it's easy to do, and you can watch them and sometimes watch them full speed. You can see stuff. Sometimes I can slow them down. I can do all kinds of things. Like, I can, when in the editor, I can take a section out and I can blow it up and look specifically at something real close. There's all things you can do, all kinds of things that, make it
Yeah.
easier to see what's going on, and
Well,
then you can,
I've videotaped myself a few times with my phone, and so I was having trouble with alignment with my bow arm, and it was me moving my bow arm just a fraction, but I mean, a fraction at 2 feet. Multiply that times several yards that arrow's traveling, and that 2 inches where you're real close to the target. Well, at 20 yards, now it's 2 feet off. So,
yeah,
but it was my bow arm, and I was able to identify it. I didn't think it was moving, but it was. And a friend of mine, um, Kenny Jordan, he had said you got to get back and doing those push-ups. I said, well, I can't. I had my wrist fused, so my wrist doesn't bend. I can't do push-ups. I'm trying to use bands to strengthen that right side. But yeah, I had all kinds of stuff go wrong from that accident. It's unbelievable. I forgot about the wrist being fused, and that was a year ago.
yeah. Well,
But
in
yeah,
that case, you just do knuckle push-ups. Make a fist and do
yeah,
a
that's
knuckle
kind of what
fist.
I do as a plank, and I just kind of hold it, and I figure it's kind of helping, strengthen that shoulder, and um, but yeah, so it's helping. But there's all kinds of ways around it. That as one guy said, there's two ways to peel a banana. There's more than one way to peel it. Uh,
Yeah,
but yeah, there is. So you just have to overcome the little obstacles. I
yeah.
can't say that enough.
I- If you want to do it, let's figure out a way to do it.
Right, right.
Like you with your wrist being fused, you can't do a traditional style push up, but make a fist and do it off your
There's a way.
knuckles.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well, and I see some of those videos of people shooting a bow with their feet, because they don't have arms.
yeah,
And there's a way around virtually everything. There's a way to adapt.
yeah,
The human body is adaptable.
yeah. Last year when I was up at the in Nebraska, they had Missouri Valley Outdoor Expo. It's in Ponca Hills State Park. It's up in Ponca, Nebraska, which is up by the South Dakota border, up there right by where Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska meet. That's where it's
Hmm.
at. And we had this one lady come through missing the left hand from basically the wrist out,
Hmm.
and we got her shooting a bow.
No kidding.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
one lady that runs a lot of the women's and archery stuff. She went over and they basically put an arm guard around it and strapped it to the arm, and was
Hmm.
able to shoot a bow. And then um, Matt come by, Matt Stutzman. He's the armless archer. He has no arms,
Oh
and
man.
I've met him. Every year I've gone up there because he's up there, so I've met him several times, and we keep working out trying to get him on the podcast, but our schedules never match up. Um,
Yeah.
but we got her shooting. She'd never shot before, and we
Yeah, that's
worked
great.
through how to do that, and then they had somebody that did work, and he made one specifically for doing that. Made a right-handed and a
Hmm.
left-handed one, and that way, um, you run across somebody. It's like, oh, here we got a perfect wrist strap for you, to
Hmm.
hold the bow, and then you can
Yeah.
use fingers or whatever. That one was fingers because it was that normally the kids' bows for the show they don't use any of the real high pound compound ones. It's either the
Yeah.
Genesis or a lot of them are Genesis bows or some of them are recurve
Right.
bows. Uh,
Right.
but there's a
Well,
way around it.
yeah, there's a way around all that. But, I mentioned Elm Hall, that shoot I'm going to next weekend. They
Hmm.
have a handicap course. There's guys in wheelchairs. And Elm Hall it's the only course I've ever been to that has an actual handicap course. It's only 10 targets, but it's accessible to the people in their wheelchairs. And
Oh
by
yeah.
God, they're out there. And, I'd like to see more clubs. It's an added expense, but really, I mean, the archery community, at least traditional, we're getting older. We have more infirmities, and you
Yeah.
know, try to make these courses accessible to us. So that's again the beauty of that place is they're really trying to make it so everyone can shoot, and they're doing a good job.
Yeah, and when we find places like that, we need to promote that, they do have that in there. And that's one of the things you get in the Architect One on Facebook group is we post events like that. Somebody has an event, they post about their event when it is, and we allow that kind of stuff. Now we don't allow you to
Okay.
sell anything in there. Like you're not going
Hmm.
to sell your bows, you're not going to sell T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
if
No
you
self promotion.
right,
But
yeah.
it's for the group, and that's great that you do that.
Yeah, and that way you don't have to worry about people coming in and you'll have people join the group. The first thing to do is post these T-shirts for sale.
Yeah.
I don't need you. So they normally
Yeah.
get deleted and banned. Delete the post and
Yeah.
ban them. Because if the first thing you want to do is try and sell me something, I'm not interested. First
Right.
you got to provide some value to the group. And I have another
Yeah.
group that I run that um, you know, a lot of people want to sell, they got a book or something to do and or yoga. We had one lady was a yoga instructor and she wanted to post stuff in there. And I said, well, we're gonna have a live event first, and then we'll go there. And as long as you're invited to the group, and now she posts once a week, she posts some stuff about yoga in there. And then she has links to, her videos and stuff. But
Hmm.
she's providing value to the group every week.
Right.
And
There's one guy I watch on YouTube now and again. I can't remember what his name is, but he promotes physical. Um, I don't know if he's a trainer or a physical therapist, but he posts exercises a person can do to strengthen their shoulder and to do this and kind of rehab stuff. Really interesting guy. Um, People like that, they definitely offer value. But someone
yeah,
who's making a buck, I mean, his stuff's free. But someone who's out there peddling their stuff to make a buck, hey, I got nothing against making a living, but don't go in there and do that self promotion, trying to sell your stuff. And, you're offering a service to people and it's free. Um, you know, I don't know. It just there's a time and place for that. If you want to sell your stuff, there's other venues, other methods of doing it.
well, and there's websites that are, like for selling archery equipment. That's what it's there for. That site is
Right,
designed up to sell your archery equipment. And, that's different. Mine is set up to provide you instruction.
right,
So that's what I set it up. That's why I call it Arch Talk 101, because what's the first class you take? It's normally called 101, especially if you get
right.
in college. So this is to help archers learn, and that's why it's great to talk to all the different archers because everybody has something that we can learn from.
Oh
And
yeah, my grandfather used to say, "You can learn from an idiot if you just listen." I mean, everyone has something they can teach you.
yeah,
Um, you just have to be willing to listen and to adapt it to you, which you can do. I mean, most stuff. That's why, again, I'd encourage people that have not gone to these organized shoots to go to a shoot because, man, you'll learn so much.
right,
Uh, and there's this wealth of information that's out there, and you just have to be willing to learn and ask questions. And the archery community is pretty uh, uh, welcoming. They
right.
welcome new people. It's really great, really great. Uh,
Yeah, there's just so much we can learn, and we've talked about all kinds of things today, and it's some good information, and hopefully, if you're struggling in archery, you realize that there is a way to help you out, and even target panic. Um,
oh yeah,
no one should ever have target panic because target panic is something you developed on not knowingly, but you developed that panic yourself. It's not something
yeah,
that shows up. It's there. And uh, I've I haven't struggled with target panic because once I learned back tension release, you can't have back target panic if you're using proper back tension release because you're not pulling
yeah,
the trigger. And that's what I do. Let's time new when I find somebody's an archer and I says, you use a wrist strap, and they say, yeah, and I says, I'm gonna give you first lesson free. Quit pulling the trigger. And I've had some. It's like, how do you know I'm doing that? Because most people are.
yeah,
And that's not correct because the one thing you have to realize is pulling the trigger moves that index finger. You have to think about the trigger to make it move.
yeah,
So while you're aiming, you can't pull the trigger. If you're pulling the trigger, you can't aim. So what are you aiming? What are you aiming at? Don't know. What are you going to hit? Don't know because you're not aiming.
yeah,
And um, the way I look at how you develop target panic is, or what's causing it is, you're watching the pin, not the target. You're watching the pin. You see the target. The pin goes across over the target. Your mind says shoot, and the pin moves off the target. Your mind says don't shoot.
yeah, yeah,
Target panic comes back around. Shoot, don't shoot. Uh, shoot, don't shoot. But if you're looking at the target and the pin is over the target, you're focusing on your target where you want the arrow to go. Like on a got your ring for the X ring. So you're concentrating on the X, focus on the XX. You put your pin over it. Now you start because your finger is not, tip is not on the trigger. It's back on that second joint back there. And now then all you're doing is you're aiming, you're starting to pull with your back muscles, which are big muscles. You don't have to think about those. And now you're aiming, 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 and it goes off. And
yeah,
I've done that with new archers. It's like, okay, your job is to aim. So just aim. Finger off the trigger, completely off the trigger. And the bow goes off because I pulled the trigger. They didn't know when it was going to go off. 9 times out of 10, they hit where they're aiming.
yeah, yeah.
And it's a total surprise.
Yeah, sometimes the problem is it's where I'm aiming. The arrow always
Yeah.
goes where I'm aiming. Unfortunately, sometimes I'm not aiming very good. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen grown men throw their equipment, blaming their bow and blaming this, blaming that, and they can't look in the mirror and say, it's you. It's hard to do to accept that, but it's not the equipment. You know. There's some really good archers I've met over the years, and uh, again, I'll go to Kenny Jordan. He just won the IBO modern longbow, shooting wood arrows, no less. And Kenny just he's out there, and he doesn't believe in target panic because it's self-induced.
Right.
Um, I don't know if it is or isn't. I've never experienced it, thank God. But he believes it's self-induced. Um, but I watch him; he's just a machine. But these guys, you can get access to them and learn so much from them. Again, it's just amazing that go to these shoots and meet these people, and nothing else. The camaraderie is wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's quite interesting when you get out talking to some of the different archers and their ideas and their viewpoints and what struggles they've had and how they've solved them. And that's the part that makes it nice, because if you're struggling with something, um, you know, guaranteed somebody else has struggled with it and solved it. Whether it's your
Yeah,
bow or anything. And that's what I do the Arch Talk 101 group for is, if you're struggling with something, hey, post the information. Maybe you have something to say, here's what's going on and I don't understand it. And somebody has had that problem and solved it.
right, right.
There's quite a few people in that group from all over the world and all ages, from the
Yeah.
new archer to the one that's been shooting like us for, you know, 50, 60 years.
Well, it's funny though too. A great archer, he can pick up that Samick Sage, that $150 bow, and he's going to hit with it. And we're all chasing this bow. Well, if I buy a more expensive bow, I'll be a better archer. That's not necessarily the case. You know, they say a great musician doesn't need a great instrument to make music.
Right.
They can make it on a subpar guitar, whatever, but maybe a little more difficult, but they'll make music. And same with archery. You put a little Samick Sage in Kenny's hands, and he's going to hit that target. He's just again. So when I see people throw their equipment, I haven't seen it happen very much lately, but gosh, there was when I worked at that archery shop. There were a couple college kids come in, and mom and dad were buying their equipment for them, and they're throwing that stuff, no respect. It's the equipment's fault. Can't look in the mirror. Uh, God forbid they realize it's their fault. Uh, I just know that where I aim, that's where the arrow goes.
Yeah.
It's not my bow, it's me.
Well, I got a perfect example of that. This guy come in, he could not group with his bow at all. He couldn't group at all. He thought it was the rest. So he wanted me to put on a drop away rest. Well, so I installed a drop away rest. And those that don't want a drop away rest, you've got to shoot them to see if they work. So I had a couple arrows, store arrows. I shot one, shot the next one, stuck the two of them together. So I got a Robin Hood with a bow that wasn't even mine, not even exactly my draw length, brand new installed drop away rest. And I just Robin Hooded the second arrow I shot stuck in the first one. And he come in and says, I could not group with this. Like, group's just fine now. I got Robin Hood
Yeah,
the first two arrows I shot. It's like, it's not the bow.
yeah, yeah.
It's
And
not the bow, it's
we have
him.
a hard time admitting that, though.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror, my friend.
Yeah. Well, and then you'll get some, because I deal more with compounds instead of the recurves. I got a friend of mine that she's really good at um, recurves, and I'll get people coming in that just can't group or whatnot, and it's not always the bow. Sometimes it's the way the bow fits you. I had one guy come in one time, about a 6-inch group at 20 yards. I
Mhm.
looked at it. One thing, your draw length is way too long. So I shortened his draw length, taught him how to shoot. By the time we're done, he's grouping 1-inch groups.
Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
spent
good.
45 minutes with him
Yeah,
because the bow fit him. And now he's got a proper technique. I had one time when I had my shop, probably 23 years ago. I think it was like 2001, 2002. PSE bought Browning Archery.
Hmm.
And they had a bow that the Browning engineers designed that had two cams at the top. They were counter rotating.
Hmm.
So one rotated one way and then rotated the other way. And I was like, that is cool. I want to shoot that bow. I could not get that bow to fit me. I wanted to
Really?
shoot it because I thought it's cool. It's like
Yeah.
neat. It's something that nobody else had done. And I'm shooting and I'm setting it up and I'm doing everything, and that's my job is to set bows up. I could not get that bow to fit me.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
I didn't shoot it. I told
Yeah.
somebody
Well,
else to
that
get it.
and it's like you talked about people just picking up a bow blind and see what feels good in their hand. That grip's important. How it
Right.
feels in your hand and whether you're torquing the bow. If the grip's not right, a lot of people kind of want to force it and grip the bow even tighter, and they torque it. There's so many little intricacies and little things that we do wrong, and they become habits. We got to break those habits.
Right. And if you don't have a sling or the little loop that goes around your index finger and your thumb, and you
Hmm.
shoot that bow, now some of the new ones don't jump much, but some of the older ones, it should jump out of your hand and hit the floor.
Yeah, yeah,
Now the
yeah.
newer ones, they don't have as much forward force, so they don't jump as far, so you could probably get by with not hanging onto it all. But I
Mhm.
have a sling on mine because if I shoot my bow, it's going on the ground. Especially off a tree stand. If I shoot
Yeah,
out of my tree stand at that angle, that bow is on the ground if I don't have my sling on. Now, with a
yeah,
sling, you don't want it so tight you won't move. It just needs to be just tight enough that it will catch on to basically around your thumb around here. But
right.
I don't grip my bow at all, and I've had a
Uh-huh.
couple of times when I almost dropped them because it jumped forward and hit my fingers, and it was one without a sling because it was on off the rack. And like, oh, I'm grabbing it.
Yeah,
It didn't hit the ground, but it's close.
that's virtually everyone who's shooting a bare bow now. That class that competes, they're all shooting with the lanyard around their hand. They're not gripping the bow hardly at all.
Yeah.
Um, grip really plays a big role. People trying to kill it. And I know when I was shooting a heavier bow, I would grip a lot harder. I would almost squeeze the handle. And you don't need to. You just need to, have it resting in your hand and use that lanyard, use that um, strap to hold it in place so it doesn't fall.
Well, and one of the things that I do is part of my form is I'm going to have you got to hold the bow until you get ready to draw because otherwise you keep moving
Right.
with it. So I'm going to hold the bow. I'm going to with the arrow now. I'm going to put a little pressure on it. Now then I'm going to open my hand and I let it relax between the thumb and index finger, right around where the lifeline goes, right between the
Yeah.
two. Now I'm going to put a little pressure on it. Open my hand up and then let it relax around it. That way, I don't get any pulling on my skin or nothing. Open my hand up, relax it. So it's basically if your hands down at your sides, just let them hang there. Don't move your wrist or anything, your fingers or nothing. Raise your arm up to the side. I just bend the wrist. So now you're pushing with the bow. No matter how heavy it
Hmm.
is, if you have pressure you're pushing on it, it's not going to
Hmm.
fall because you already got
Right.
pressure. Now the heavier the bow, the more pressure you have to put on to start with. But once you get it up
Hmm.
there and start your draw, it's not going to fall because you're pushing
Right.
forward with it. Now, after you
Right.
shoot, it'll tip forward and stuff. You watch a lot of the Olympic archers, and they do that and push, and when they shoot, that wrist kind of bends down because that's kind of the force your wrist is naturally going to, and it pushes forward, it's going to drop down, and they go ahead and let it drop, and they just relax the wrist because it's completely
Yeah.
relaxed. And there's just so many things and techniques and variations you can do with it. If you have like a fused wrist, you're not going to be able to bend it like you normally would. So you would just relax it how far it bends, and you just deal with it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You just have to work through it, and that's kind of interesting. If everybody was just perfect form the first time you pick it up, it's like, what do you need a coach for?
Yeah. And no one
You
would
know,
shoot. If it was
yeah,
easy, no one would do it, or everyone would do it, I guess, if it was easy. Yeah. And that's part of the beauty of shooting is it's not easy. At least I don't find it easy. It's enjoyable, it's stress relief, but it definitely is not easy. It doesn't come easy for me.
Right.
You know, I leave a lot of points on the course when I go out and shoot. You know, but I'm like you, where if I can average eights, used to be if you averaged eights, um, you were in the top 10 in your class.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, these people are averaging tens. It's unbelievable. Um, the the shooters out there, the younger guys coming up, man, they can do some serious shooting. I went, I guess it was last weekend, the IBO World Championship. I went to that, the Trad Championship. Man, I saw some people do some serious shooting.
Right.
Uh, Very interesting.
Well, and our techniques have developed to, you know, be a better shot and how to teach better. And, before you just shoot until you
Yeah,
get
and the
good enough to
equipment's
hit.
gotten so much better. The equipment's
Right.
so much better. Just the speed of the arrow, and that's unbelievable.
Yeah. The only thing I can say against speed of the arrow is the faster the arrow, the more it magnifies your mistake in your form.
Yeah, yeah,
So you got to be careful pushing for that really, really fast arrow because you better have really good form. And if
right.
you're hunting with them really fast ones, you almost have to use mechanicals because fixed blades, the
Hmm.
faster they go, the harder it is to control them.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you add in form mistakes, and now then you're trying to send a fixed blade over 300 feet per second is real difficult to be controllable because it is so fast.
right,
I kind of
right.
equate it to you've got you got your normal car that on the interstate might go 80, 90, 100 on some of the cars. Now you get in one of those sports cars that 300 is kind of the limit. Are you going to
Yeah,
be able to control that car at 150 as opposed to the other one at 70? Are you going to be able to
yeah,
control it? Uh, if it's a straightaway, you might be able to get
yeah.
by with it without experience. And if you don't have the perfect form on that, and I see a lot of people in just turning cars in the corner, they're doing one of these things back and forth, back and forth. They're not
Right.
doing them as opposed to turn and keep it in one spot. And slight corrections just so then you feel it back and forth. I was on a bus one time
Yeah.
going down, and the back of that bus just moved back and forth. And one of the people went in to go use the bathroom. I can hear him getting bounced off the walls because
Oh
the bus
goodness.
driver was doing one of these things back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And
Yeah,
well, coming back, I sat in the front because it's not quite so bad. You can
yeah,
get seasick in the back.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had a lot of cool conversations here on different stuff. From all the stuff you've done and all the stuff we've had to learn, and it's been a great conversation. Real good time talking to you.
Well, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, if anything, I just want to encourage people: don't give up. There's ways around handicaps, and um, I'm still a little bit twisted. They couldn't fix my neck perfectly. I gave up a good 3 inches of draw length because my head tilts forward now, and the way I anchor, it's not the same. But you can overcome so much. Just don't
Right.
give up. It's easy to quit. Quitting is real easy. Just try to work around it. That's the only thing I can say. And you know, uh, uh, have it as a hobby. I mean, archery is a wonderful hobby to have. It's a wonderful sport. If you're new to it, I encourage you to get out there. You'll get out of it what you put into it.
Yes,
Really
that's
will.
true. Well, it's been really great talking with you, and I think that was a good closing note. Just if you want to shoot, have any problems, just get a hold of us. If you
Yeah,
don't know there's a club in your area, you know what? We can look and find something because there's something around the area that you can get to, and if there's not a club close enough for you, start one.
yeah, yeah,
That's how a lot of the clubs got started. Is there was nobody around, so they just one guy's like, okay, let's start a club. That's like, okay, it's two, then three, then four. Next thing you know, they're a big club putting on events. So,
Yeah.
uh, even if it's just the two of you getting together and shooting, and that's kind of fun. What I did when I was doing 3Ds is, Randy and I would go out and it's like, okay, who got to give it, who had to take it on the way home.
Yeah. Yeah.
With only compete against us, we could be last and next to last in the whole group, or we could be first and second. We didn't care. It was just like, did I beat him or did he beat me?
Yeah.
That day. And last times we wanted to us to shoot, and it's like, and it's like, that's further than I thought it was. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, so it's shooting. It's a little bit further than he thought it was, and sometimes it's like, yeah, I shot it for 33 or 30, and it's actually longer than so. You shoot for 35,
Yeah.
and you get good at judging yardage, and then you don't care, how he shot it, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you having me on. I was flattered that you wanted to talk to me. I thought, what in the world am I going to talk about? But
well, let's see. You didn't have nothing to talk about. We've only been talking like an hour and a half, so
yeah, I know.
that's nothing to talk about. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, it's archery. We can talk about archery for a long time. So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
yeah. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host today on Archer Talk 101. And we'll catch you on the next one. And don't forget, go out to Archer Talk 101 Facebook group. And if you have questions, post it there and watch for the archertalk101.com. I'm building that site up to give you a lot of information out there as well. And that's one place you can get the podcast. You can listen to it, or you can watch it there, as well as you can go out to my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself. There you can watch that as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. And then, of course, one of the best places right now is to go out to Arch Talk 101 Facebook group. And there's all kinds of information out there. If you have a problem or question, post it. Somebody will get back to you with an answer. May not be what you want, but we're going to give you our opinion what it is, and hopefully it helps out. And you can listen to the podcast on Spotify and all the places you listen to podcasts on, as well as audible.com. You can go out there and search for Archer Talk 101, and it's free to listen to out there. The books and stuff, you have to buy them, but the podcast, you don't. You can just listen to it. So it's been great talking with you, and we'll definitely see you on the next one, and we'll have fun talking about archery.